What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And of course, this is with the brand new 15.2 update for Treasure Map, where we no longer have to go ahead and clear the mini-map bosses, the Battle Rush bosses anymore. So I think that there are conflicting arguments. I know that when I was streaming, some people were saying that they didn't like this update because it meant that they couldn't go ahead and, do more team building aspects in Treasure Cruise, because I know a lot of people do like that. But I do think, generally speaking, this update is a good thing for the more casual player base, which I think is the more important thing to be looking at here. Yes, I know that hardcore players may or may not like this change, but I think generally for the overall good of the game, this is a good change, okay? So it just means that from now, you only have to clear the intrusion boss and the final boss, and that is it. And it does make things a hell of a lot easier, way faster to get to your 10 to 15 to 20 million point thresholds, depending on what they decide to do for the event. So let's get to talking about each of these boss fights. So we have Pudding starting off first. So for this fight, this is the one where they really want you to go ahead and use Rob Lucci, a part of the Versus unit, as well as the Katarina Devon and Van Auger, which came out at the start of the month. So I know that a lot of people are probably not going to have those units, but if you have them, it does make it a lot easier. Due to the significant chain lock that we're inflicted with on stage 2, this is why I'm opting to use Marcus Mars as my captain, because having him as the captain enables him to receive that mass cooldown. If he does not receive that cooldown, things get a little bit finicky, because we want to have some type of special to remove the chain lock that we're inflicted with on this stage. Now, another thing that you could try is by using Izo Okiku on stage 1 should I say, carry their chain lock into stage 2, meaning that you're not inflicted with the nasty one that they give you. That is also a relatively good way around it, but with the way that we're doing it here, we can use the Mars special to remove that effect. We get the delayed conditional boost, which does give us a lot of additional damage. And then another thing to note is that after you kill stage 2, your captains will get special reversed, and their specials will be locked. So you ideally want to use the captain's special first, which is why I use the friend captain and my own captain. We do that, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next stage and use the rest of our 4 characters fully dedicated to getting around all of the gimmicks. They really want you to use 2 Luccis in your team because of the paralysis slots that occur on stage 2 and the attack down, which you can get around via the Versus effect on stage 2 as well. But then on stage 3, you can use Lucci to remove the threshold. You can also use him to remove the paralysis. So if you are opting to use a friend captain Lucci, I would highly suggest to just use it on stage 2, so that you can get around a lot of the gimmicks on that stage alone. And then on the final stage, you just dedicate most of your team to getting around those gimmicks on that stage. Remember though that for this fight, you are going to be dealt an 80,000 death hit when you kill Pudding. So having some type of way to reduce the damage is important. Another thing, do not activate the Rush Sugo special of Rob Lucci on this stage, because you do have to tank a lot of damage, and if you don't have like a damage nullification, you're just going to die. The very first run that I did of this treasure map, I completely forgot the death hit, which meant that because of the rush of Lucci, I just auto died, even with the significant damage reduction that I got via the Miston's support. So yeah, do keep that in mind when you are playing. But overly speaking, I think that this is a really good change moving forward for Treasure Map. It does make things very, very much easier. And of course, you do actually get some Aurora Gems by playing this Treasure Map as well. So of course, Aurora Gems, very contentious point in Treasure Cruise right now, and I think that generally speaking, the best thing to do is just conserve them for now. I don't think that there's really any rush in using them at the moment. So I would advise to conserve them for now and see how it goes in the future. Of course, with this current event period, you'll be able to super evolve the Pudding that you acquired via playing Pirate King Adventures. Unfortunately, I don't think the Pudding is all that great, but hey, it's another top point booster that you're going to be using in the event to get even more points. And of course, it's going to be boosted in a lot of other content over the next month or 2. So I would advise getting it done either way. Better to have the character than, and not need it, rather than not have the unit and desperately require it. As you can see, defeating these mini-map bosses along the way, they do have different multiplier of points, and it's based on the characters that you own. So a little bit different to like normal treasure map, where the character needs to be on your team to get the point boosts. the way that the minimap bosses work is it's just based on the characters that you own, kind of similar to how the card system works. Like if you own a certain character, the cards will be buffed to be a higher chance of activating and stuff like that. Very, very similar. But now we get to the time to talk about Shanks. So Shanks this time wants you to use Zoro from the Versus unit, as well as the 2 rare recruits of Jinbei and Sanji. So with the way that this is kind of working is you ideally want to use Sanji special and Jinbei special, both of which on stage number 2, because you're going to have to deal with both Bind and Despair, which is why the rare recruit Pomsky that you see on this team, which is in the bottom right hand position of the squad, Pomsky is very good for this, because not only is he very good against the Pudding Intrusion Battle boss fight for getting around the Despair on the final stage, but he also helps you deal with Bind as well simultaneously, and because on stage 2 you're inflicted with both Bind and Despair, Pomsky will be very good for that. So of course, if you have the Jinbei and the Sanji, you don't have to worry about the Bind and Despair, because those rare recruits do that for you. But because it's both Bind and Despair, Pomsky will just fill that role relatively well. Now for this team, we do have the Pudding and the Strength Luffy on it as well. That is not required. They are literally only here because they are relatively high point boosters. There's also going to be an Intimidate, so any attack boost or orb boost you activate will get -1 to the turn activation, so be cautious of that. There is also, on stage 2, all of your slots are changed to badly matching, which is why we use Germa 66 support, just to guarantee a full board of tandem slots, just to make things a little bit easier for us. But of course, if you activate the Versus effect of Zoro, you're going to be getting at least 2 guaranteed slots anyways. Then when you get to the final boss stage, there's a bunch of stuff including captain swap shenanigans, which is why ideally you would have either Jinbei or Sanji to switch into the captain position, so that when you enter stage 3 you don't have to worry about the captain switch, and then you can activate the Sanji or the Jinbei special again to switch them out of the captain position. There is also 7 turns of attack down, 6 turns of threshold, 5 turns of rainbow shield, 5 turns of resilience, lots of defensive effects here. So this is why we use the support rare recruit Mihawk attached to Zoro to do end of turn damage to get around the resilience. We have the Sanji getting around the rainbow shield. We have the Zoro getting around the damage threshold with the Sailor effect. His Sailor effect says anytime an enemy puts up a damage threshold, instantly removes 6 turns of it, which is just godly. It's such a goated crewmate ability for the Zoro, and that's what I'm doing so far. So thank you very much for watching this video. I wish you guys the best of luck on your grind for treasure map, and hopefully it all goes well. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I'm that, guys. I will see you guys within the next video.